Welcome to the Paranormal Project radio show. Journey with us through mystical realms to a world of the unexplained. If you're ready, take a deep breath and let curiosity be your guide. And now, here are your hosts, spirit medium Scott Allan and Christina Bowen, the Green Witch of Tennessee.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Paranormal Project radio show. Today is Wednesday, my favorite day of the week. And I would say it's because I get to talk with you, but I talk with you every day anyway. So there's nothing new about that.
Doesn't it?
We do for the most part. We have a fun show coming up for you today. We're waiting for our guests to arrive. The Philip and Christopher St. Booth, horror producers. And I tell you, I think the story is that Grimm scared some people, Grimm fairy tales, but these people scare everybody, and I can't wait to chat with them about some of the stuff they've got going on.
Oh man,
how was your week? What's going on?
Well, if the walls start shaking or anything major crashing sounds, it'll be 4 dogs knocking down the back of my house. I'm dog sitting, well, for my grand dogs, and then I have my 2. And I never really realized that Apollo hadn't been around other animals very much. So he's been the awkward kid that didn't know how to play.
Yeah. He's still a dog.
You've not lived until you've had almost 400 pounds of dog just cover and smother you.
I love dogs, but I can't stand all the chaos. With all of that, I can't do all the chaos. So
there we go, knocking stuff off.
Here we go. Hey, I got some great news too this week, and I wanted to share that with everybody. I don't know who's listening, who is from the Naples, Florida area, but I'm coming to Naples. I've been asked to do an event down there, so I'm doing a gallery in February. I'm going to be teaching a pendulum class while we're down there. And I'll be doing some private readings and a bunch of other stuff. So if you're in Florida and you want to come down, details will be coming out soon for that as well. But I definitely, absolutely am excited because I just saw the brothers have just entered backstage. So we're going to bring them out here in just a minute here. Please, without further ado, come on out, Christopher and Philip St. Booth. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. How are you?
Hey.
I'm good. How are you guys?
Great.
Wonderful.
So excited to have you guys on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And I met you for the first time in Ohio this year when we were at the Parapsychon VIP.
Oh, that was a great event. Oh, yeah. That was a great event.
It really was a great event. Good times.
That was our first time there at the prison.
Oh, was it?
Oh, you've got to come back. You've got to come back.
They've invited us back, have they not? Yes.
Well, they're going to lock us in it next time,
It was
you need to lead an investigation or something through that place. We need an investigation there next time.
Yeah, we are going back, and we did an investigation when we were there. Caught a lot of stuff too. It was crazy.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
it's an active building.
Yeah, they had like 6 or 7 different celebrities leading different groups. So it was a little hard to have it isolated, but they put us in the solitary confinement figures. Perfect.
Oh, wow.
And it was
That's
crazy.
perfect for
It
y'all.
was great there. Yeah, we picked up a guard leaning against the wall, and they were asking, well, why are you picking it up against the wall? And I was thinking, well, if you were a guard and you were there every day of your life, you'd be leaning against the wall smoking or just, waiting for the shift to change. And I think, especially with limestone and the kind of stone that they have, that place is built of, energy would absorb into that wall.
Yeah,
I definitely come from the same school of thought.
Yeah,
I definitely do.
I believe it.
You guys have been in some pretty interesting buildings. I mean, just the conventions and all the places that you go, but you've filmed in some really unique locations, haven't you?
Oh, You know.
Well, we were born in a very strange building in Yorkshire, Halifax. We were born in a very huge haunted asylum hospital.
Yeah, it looks some crazy.
Wow.
That's where it all started. But
Oh, how
yeah,
cool. I didn't know that.
yeah, we've done everything from Waverly Hills to St. Albans to the Real Exorcist House, and it's all kind of the epic
Yeah, when you
place.
say the real Exorcist house,
Oh
the
yeah,
real one that it was filmed in, or where it,
the real one.
No,
The
one
real
where
one.
the actual case happened where they exorcised the boy.
Yeah.
In 1949, it actually happened where Blatty got a copy of the diary, that's what it's called, the Exorcist Files, Secret Diary of the Haunted Boy, and we got a copy of that diary. We took a paranormal group to every place they actually took the boy in 1949, which included that real house. Also, St. Vincent's Asylum, which a lot of people don't know about, is now a low income housing project, but back then it was owned by the church. And when we went there and we shot for the documentary there, they've turned every room in that place into an apartment, even the crematorium. But where they kept the boy in the fifth floor, it still remains empty today. And the deal was when the church sold the property to the low income housing project, they said you can never put anything on the fifth floor. So
Really?
that's why, I mean, it's Halloween time and the Exorcist File is now on Amazon Prime. It's on Tubi. And I have to tell you, to all the fans and the people that have supported us, we really appreciate it because that title is kicking butt right now because of The Exorcist just came up. And it's
It's
the
an old
true,
title too.
it's the true
Definitely.
story behind how they got the script idea. We actually talk to the great grandniece of the actual Father Bowden that Max von Sydow played him. We got to talk to her, and she would just say, "Oh, Uncle Bill, William Bowden, would just come back after the exorcism, and he rolled his sleeves and he start making dinner. And over the exorcisms, he started to look weaker and weaker and weaker. So it was such a treat to talk to the real people that still were alive, like the priest who sold the story to the National Enquirer, and any witnesses that were still alive to the actual exorcism.
Including the family of the real possessed boy.
Oh God, that was creepy.
It was really crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it's giving me chills talking about it. When you're talking about Halloween time, you're talking about the Exorcist remake, and I hope it does well because it looks cool. There's just nothing more scary than the real thing because if our kids came up to us today and said, "I'm possessed," right? You say, "Oh, you watch The Exorcist Believer." We'll say now because it's new. "Oh, you watch this, so you watch that, you watch that." But in 1949.
there
What
wasn't
was
any.
that boy watching to influence him to do such wicked things and to know? Tell him about the sheets.
Well, I mean, we got a copy of there was 6 copies of the original Exorcist diary in the world.
In the Vatican.
And we were able to get copy number 6. And we went and we followed that diary to every place and every person we could find. And that's what that documentary kind of goes against, is like the diary. And the diary, it took me about 3 months to even want to read it because when I started looking through it was just too dark. You know, and I think we all, being in the paranormal, know when your gut feeling says this is too dark. I don't know about this. You know,
You have to listen to that.
I got to be ready to deal with this. But we went and being, documentaries at filmmakers and all kinds of stuff, it felt a little easier to take it because if we told the story without being biased, I felt we were safe. I think if we took a side, in the sense that I'm not saying a side with God or this side of devil, but just telling the story how it is, but let everybody else decide what side they want to be on, or whether this is true or this is not true. We'll just tell you the story that we know, from the diary. And then basically that's what started happening. And in the diary, which we show in our documentary, some incredible things that nobody knows about. Like, for instance, when the boy was possessed, he would write on the sheets what the devil told him to do.
Oh my gosh.
So
What did he write with?
A pencil.
Just a
And we-
pencil, and
Yeah,
Someone was
and we show you the sheets in our documentary.
So they
And-
exist now to this day. I mean, they exist.
He became a Gnostic scientist. Isn't that ironic? The devil's going to
Wow.
possess a boy, and he gets somebody becomes a Gnostic scientist who invents the heat shields on the first Apollo spacecraft. He's retired now, but he's still alive. He doesn't remember a thing, but we got to talk to his sister, and his sister had a lot to say about it, you know, because she witnessed what was going on. It's a crazy show because
What about the furniture in the room?
yeah,
The bed, the chair that the priest sat on, and the pewter that they would pray over, and then the bed the boy was actually strapped in. Where did that go? Well, we show you where it went. We know where it went. It was locked up in a military air base, Scott's Air Force Base.
now we got to talk
In
to the
cold
movers.
storage.
We got to talk to the actual
You know,
movers that
so,
moved the
yeah.
furniture, and they said the priests and the nuns refused to go into the room anymore, and they had the movers who didn't know anything or care come and lift the stuff out. But what they were freaked out about was that they were told to put it into a double thick box with metal around it, not just a wood. He said, it's just an old bed and furniture. Why are we doing this? They
Right.
had it temperature controlled with double bolted, double locked with metal, and it was shipped off to Scott's Air Force Base in Illinois. I think that's in Illinois. Now, why is like a Raiders of the Lost Ark thing, right?
that's exactly what I was thinking. That's what I
Yeah.
was picturing.
You can't make this stuff up, and when you reading this stuff, you talk to the real people. The people that tore the building down, the Alexis Brothers Hospital, was the final place where they exercised the boy. That's where it was successful. It was not.
Like, did you know that the priest stood on the wrecking ball and he blessed the ball that hit the 5th floor of the lecture?
Wow.
That's,
And
I
then when-
remember that.
Yeah, when the
Yes.
ball fell down, they saw this big black, huge sort of shadow, devilish cat creature jump out.
Yeah,
Of the
30
room.
people witnessed that.
Yeah.
And so it was really wonderful to talk to the real people because, you know, like we're talking to you, you have a gut feeling someone's, you know, just exaggerating or making it up. But when you're talking to them, you've got a camera right in their face. You can tell whether they're like just telling you how it is or they're like
Right.
looking, you know, to
Making-
embellish
Yeah.
it, you know. So
Right.
yeah, it's a good time for that. Spooky time for that. There's so much stuff. I mean, I could go on and on, but the scariest thing was we were in the room where the boy was exercised, and the paranormal investigator, Greg, said he felt a lot of heat on his neck. And Keith used a thermal imager, and he looked like his neck was burning on fire, the temperature. I was just filming a camera, I was a documentarian, not really involved in the investigation, just biased there. And I watched, it looked like a cross raise up on his neck. And then when we went to look at it, sure enough, there was a welt of a cross. I'm not going to say that. It was that rose
Yeah.
up on his neck. And Chris, you want to tell him what happened when we looked in the diary?
Oh, well, in the diary, it states that when Ronald, which is his real name, Ronald Hunkler, for all you people that are writing Roland Doe,
It's Ronald.
Robbie,
Ronnie.
his real name is
Oh.
Ronald Hunkler. He protected that for a while, but at the end,
It came out.
it came out. But in the diary, it said when the boy was being exercised, which that used to be the cross before they became.
Yeah, this is Roman. They used to crucify
Yeah,
like
they
that.
crucified
Okay.
This is,
Yeah.
Christian.
Yeah, that was burned on his neck.
So
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah, so that stuff really freaked us out because when you see that happen and you just got to go about your life the next day, like, you know, you try not to let it, you know, overtake
But that
you.
case was actually the big. We did that case in 2009, I think,
Mhm.
and then many years later, Discovery Channel did Exorcism Live, where they actually exorcised that house or tried to.
Wasn't Bishop James Long involved with
He
that?
was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he actually married me. I should have took that as a sign because I got divorced after that. But yeah, never get married by an exorcist. That was definitely a sign. Anyway, I was going to say though, it still has followed us today, not in a complete distraught way, because I think we have our heads together and we're very spiritual, so we're able to somehow deal with that spiritual warfare, I suppose. But even to this day, there's things that you don't forget, and there's things I went through, which is in different books I've written, as well as we had just recently it was donated. I had a copy of the die. I donated it to Zach's big
Right.
I've
haunted
been
museum.
seeing that.
Yeah.
Well, we thought
And
that
I
was
couldn't think of a better place,
good
and a better
place for
chap
people.
to take that.
I mean,
with you.
people have to understand that's a historic. I mean, like antiques, like whether it's the Exorcism box of Annalise McKellar, Real Emily Rose, which we did the attached about, or the Exorcist Diary. They all like historic items that belong in a museum
Yeah.
focused on that. And
Yeah, and Zach, whatever, Zach really wants, this epic big stuff, and
Mhm.
I wanted the
I've been
world.
there.
I wanted the
Yep.
world. Yeah, I wanted the world to see it. So here, we finished our mission, which was telling the story. We did everything we could with it, and I believe in anything in life, there's a time to let go. And if you
Yes.
let go, something else comes into your life. But if you, no, I'm not letting it go, then you're going to go down with the ship with
Yeah.
it. You got to let it go, and something new comes. And it was time to let it go. And I talked with Zach for quite a bit, and he told me what he was going to do. He was doing the new Exorcist exhibit is now open at the Haunted Museum. So you walk in,
Oh.
the lights are off, and the light comes on,
Hey.
and then you see the things that he acquired from us, which is the Exorcist Diary and the real Annalise McKell's exorcism box that came from Germany out of her bedroom when she was being exorcised. And he got that also from us, and he made a special exhibit for us also to, I wanted the world to see it. And, I mean, I could have had anybody take it or, but I wanted someone that was able to have the power to be able to let everybody see it.
Yeah.
So I thought it was and he
Mhm.
was very passionate and very sweet about it. He was really cool. And we talked for hours about it, and it worked out, great in that you guys, anybody's gonna be able to see it.
I mean, we used to take on the road for 3 or 4 years promoting the attach because they're actually the real items that had attachments to it, which is what the attach is about, which is also on, I'll do my shameless plug, Prime Video, Apple TV, and Tubi, and it's doing phenomenal.
Yeah, it's great.
But people wouldn't go up. They didn't want to walk up to see it. They were scared to
You want to
touch.
click that thing, talk about shameless plugs. Hang on.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
But I was going to say is, people were just scared to come up to it. People would just flock in droves to take a look at the Exorcist Diary and the Exorcism box.
Do you know about the exorcism box at all?
I do. I actually I met you guys several years ago at a convention and got to see it up close and personal.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
It's
people are really
mind-blowing.
freaked out by it because her name is even
Well,
called
that box is really dark, and I I'm a believer of good. I don't believe everything man has written about God because it's a man-made thing. That crap. And I'm gonna call it crap because they do it for money. But I do believe in spiritual, and I do believe there is good and there's bad, and I don't care who you worship as long as it's a good thing. There's some
Right.
there's some terrible things going on in the world, and I tell you, if your God says you should kill people, rape people, and do that, then I
Yeah.
don't want any part of your God.
You need a new God.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
that ain't no God.
No.
It's a God is creation.
What's your compassion?
And I get it. Well, politics, fight the politics, but let's not hurt innocent people.
Right.
I that's just the way it is. But it was also time to let go of that box because what I went through with, and there's many things I went through being involved in that box. My whole life changed. In fact, if you watch the documentary, The Attache, you'll see me at the beginning, and I look totally different than I do after I went through it. I changed. you know,
I I read that you had an experience in a hotel room over when I believe it was with the diary?
yeah. Well, yeah.
We had done a premiere for the movie. We released the
In
movie,
St.
and
Louis, yeah.
I think it sold out for 2 nights. And we're playing the movie in a theater. And Chris was staying at an old hotel where Al Capone used to stay in St. Louis.
Well, it's kind of like the punchline, but what happened is we went to do the premiere and it did sell out, and because it was in the city that The Exorcist happened in, it was a great event. 2 nights we sold out. Um, Beautiful event that was. But so after night, I took the diary, I had the diary, and I went back to the hotel room, and I was really tired because we had to do the second show, I think it was, or we were leaving town. I can't
To New
remember.
Orleans.
So I was just getting ready for bed, and I put the diary on the nightstand, and then suddenly I watched the sheets slowly, and they weren't like satin sheets, so they don't slide up. They were like crappy hotel sheets, and they were like, it was going like this, and I said that gut feeling like, oh, what's going on, right? And then suddenly I saw this shadow thing, huge, and it had like, and the best way to describe it is like almost like a dog shark looking thing. It had like horns, but they were like sawed off, like kind of Hellboy like vibe. It was weird, and it just had this. Suddenly, I just I don't freeze, but I felt this is not cool. Something's going on really weird, and suddenly I fell out of bed, and I realized I wasn't. I fell. I got pulled because I had 3 claw marks on my ankle.
Wow.
So in the morning, I crawled. I was naked. I crawled back in the bed. I went and got my camera. I said, "Okay, if you're gonna kill me, I'm gonna film this." And of course, nothing happened.
Right.
After that, and then on the way out, I said, "Did you know?" And he goes, "Haunted, right?" And I'm going, "Really?" That the desk clerk said, "Yeah, your room's haunted." And I go, "What do you mean?" Back in the day, uh, Al Capone, Prohibition, they shot the whole fourth floor up in the May. You can check it out. It's the Mayfair Hotel, downtown St. Louis, in a really bad area where parking costs you $30 a night. So there's no parking. It's down, almost Skid Row to St. Louis. It was a really cool hotel, really creepy. But they said they shot everybody on the fourth floor, and I believe that sort of energy connected with what we were playing with, so to speak, and connected. It was almost like a feeding ground. And I wish I would have knew it was haunted before, because, it's like, I don't want to work, I don't want to sleep where I work. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just want to rest. Oh my God, you have to put me in a haunted hotel.
But a lot of things happened, like when that exorcism box came, it was in a trunk. I was scared to open it. And really shouldn't have, because my faith, I mean, and I'm not getting into, but I believe this means good. Unfortunately,
Yep.
Matt has turned a lot of into some horrific stuff, as like we all understand that Templars Knights were the worst Christianity.
Crusaders, yeah.
Crusaders, but I believe it is a symbol of good. It's an action. Buddha, which is, I got Buddhas everywhere. Buddha
Right.
is action, or if you're into Hindu religion, I'm into Eastern religion as well. They worship a rock, and that seems silly, but they don't worship a rock. The rock stands for gratitude, love, health. So they're worshiping an action, and they're basic an affirmation of an action to create it to happen. So that made sense to me. So this to me isn't more of an affirmation of good, that it just recommends that you stay good and you be cool to people. So I shouldn't have been scared because it has the crucifix in the box. But I opened it up and I had gloves on, which that's going to protect me with rubber gloves. But I opened it up and I felt this incredible energy come out of the box. And the internet router above me blew from that energy. I mean, it blew up. And I went, whoa, but I didn't feel scared. I felt like it was accomplished. Whatever they were trying to do, I felt accomplishment. And like she died because Annalise McHale died because she wanted to die. She didn't want the exorcism. She believed that she would take those demons with her to her
She
grave.
was a vessel for God. That was her belief.
And she'd be buried and they would not jump to the next host.
And that she thought,
So she was
believed that was
doing
her
it.
mission.
Yeah, she was doing it,
You know,
to
not
be the
to
most
just-
devout Catholic she could be.
Mhm.
And we tell a beautiful story because she's a saint now in Germany.
You know, a lot of people don't know, and it's all in the attached. It's what's fascinating. I mean, um, story again to do. Discuss in the movie, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, they don't touch any of this stuff. But a lot of people don't realize that she was exorcised 60, was it 60?
7 times.
60, yeah.
I think she's 67 times.
And
yeah.
200 recordings, which are I'm sure you've heard them. They're in the attached, horrific recordings. But she was possessed by 6 entities. One of them was Adolf Hitler, which I think is crazy. Cain from the Bible. Who was the other one? Lucifer.
Father Fletchman, who was a local priest that was accused of adultery and some other bad things.
Mm-hmm.
The time for a priest.
But the thing is, what people accused her of being a witch, and they, after she passed, they tried to burn the house down, and they desecrated her grave and all that stuff. Later on, they decided to exhume the body because they wanted to change the casket out from a older wood one.
So they said,
Yeah,
yes.
put a copper one in. So we have the footage in the documentary of the exhuming.
To be actually what they did is they wanted to exhume the coffin to trade it from an old wooden box to a nice one.
Mm-hmm.
But really what they couldn't get permission to do what they really wanted to do. They wanted to see if the body had rotted.
Yeah.
Because the body did not rot. She was basically blessed as a saint.
Yes.
So when they did that and they found that the body was untouched, she'd been buried for quite a while.
2 years.
There's no signs of rotting.
No decomposition.
No. And she smelled like flowers, they said, which is the true sign, you know, things that she would be blessed as a saint.
And all this is in our documentary called The Attached, which we go through different, like, you know, Christina, she goes to like a Goodwill and she goes, I want that coat. Do you really? Who wore that coat?
Where's it been? Yeah. Where's it been?
Yeah, it's not all.
I mean, it's not always that way, but you never know.
A child holds the doll, let's say Victorian, early 1900s, they hold the doll, okay? They love that doll. It could be 3 or 5, even longer. Sometimes they hold on to them to teenage because it's meaningful to them. Something they tragically pass. That doll is left. Don't you think that there's some kind of energy transformed?
Bad or good, yeah.
You know,
depending
transformed to that doll.
Right.
Again, the worship, the interaction with it, you know, the intention of putting it into like this house. Pointing over here, but it's full of voodoo dolls from Africa, really intense ones. But everybody thinks a lot of people find them scary. I do not, because if you know the story behind them, they're actually made to protect the village.
They are. They just look spooky.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, I don't know what looks spooky. I think they're
They had the marketing.
They're pretty cool looking.
They had the marketing team come change the covers. They need to look spooky.
You know, but you know, so it's all about intention. So you're getting a rosary where a nun have been rubbing it for like 50 years because she believes the ultimate devotion, where she sleeps on a mat and has nothing in her room, no money, no nothing, no clothing except for the nun have. You don't even see their eyes anymore. They can't talk. They devout themselves of everything. There's an intention that's so powerful that you can't help but pick that up. Good or bad, depending what they are intending to do.
Right.
So.
Is there any indication with you know the Annalise case? You know what precipitated the possession to begin with? I mean, was there something that happened that brought that on?
Well, she was such a devout Catholic, and I actually had an interview with which. Funny how you forget these things, and because we've been doing this since 2004. that I
Wow.
actually had an interview with her mother.
Oh,
And it was weird, really weird, because when I got it, and then some of the family members, because I was doing a documentary on, I think, possession or something, and she was still alive at that time. And I was
Probably when we did the possess.
yeah, yeah, it was. And I was setting it all up, and I didn't realize, I didn't know the case at all. So I wasn't taking it too seriously, because I mean, obviously, you get swamped by all kinds of people. Put me on camera, do this, going like, well, yeah, but let me see who you are and how real you are. And by the time I got back to her, I found that she was real. She had died, which is, I felt
oh,
sad. But, I didn't know, I didn't know
There's
necessarily about it.
there's a few different theories. And the one that I think is, and they
You
go
was
into this a bit in
Thought
the
about what happened with the rosary.
yeah, the exorcism of Emily Rose has it, where she
Yeah.
grabs the cross and she used to, if you saw the movie, which is a true section
Well,
of
the
that.
psychiatric book written by her psychiatrist is probably one of the best books you could read, and she's not biased about it. She'll go the psychological side and then the spiritual side, but basically she had this rosary that she
In
always
the movie,
loved,
that yeah.
right? And she just loved to hold it because she was obviously taught to be. They were the kind of ones that were so fanatic they would whip themselves for other people's sins. That's
right,
how
right.
That family was.
yeah, that family. So she was getting that way, though she was anorexic. She was epileptic, and she was on all kinds of meds. But when it came to one day, she started feeling ill and started feeling negative. So she reached for her favorite rosary she had, and it was on the wall. She'd hang it on the wall, and she went out to grab it, and her hand became frozen, almost like a claw, almost like catatonic. She couldn't grab her cross and her rosary anymore.
My goodness.
That freaked her out, and that was where it started. Whether she, how did it get into her? Whether it's a catch-22.
Well, in our documentary,
Yeah.
Without giving away so everybody watches it, but in the general consensus, which is an interesting theory, which I kind of think it's a fresh theory instead of thinking some evil comes along. Like let's talk Exorcist File for a second. That movie, that documentary. There's no doubt, and it marries to the original, the movie that was made from it, that the boy conjured up Aunt Tilly, and in the movie it's Captain Howdy in The Exorcist, Evelyn Blair, from a Ouija board. That Ouija board opened up the door, and the rats in the cellar, in the attic, all that was in the original diary. That was in the movie.
He was talking to his dead aunt, and what he was doing. See, this was so beautiful is when you really know the story behind the story, it's scarier than the story.
Yeah, because this really
He
happened.
was trying to
It
tell
is.
his aunt to find money that was hidden in a
In the
cookie
wall.
jar in the wall, and he didn't know where it
Wow.
So
was.
it was trying to
So
get.
he went to a Ouija board trying to get her to tell him where the money is.
So going with that case, that's the typical case where they have a Ouija board or they conjure up the devil or whatever. But in this case, because she was so devout religious, she believed with all her heart, and the priest, that which in our documentary says that she becomes what's called a victim soul. A victim soul decides to be a vessel of God, to carry evil in them. So it's almost like voluntarily. Because she was so religious and her family is such a religious, I don't want to say cult, but so devotedly Christian, that they believed that she had been chosen to be a vessel of God. And then she would absorb all the evil. And then she had no intention of the exorcism of ever curing her, in her mind. She was already chosen, like Christ on the cross, chosen to absorb other people's sins. She would take the devil with her so it would no longer be present there. So I think that's a fascinating look at it, different,
It is.
And you can look at all avenues of it. I mean, we have a YouTube channel, Spook TV.
Spook TV.
That's
I
on
watch.
YouTube, and there's
Yeah, it's got so much cool stuff
the
on it.
latest video we put up got 400,000 views like in a couple of days, and it's regarding this subject of Annalise McKellen. When you really just understand how tough it was for her, and of course everybody has an opinion, and some of them you don't want to respect because they can't even fucking spell, you know. You know, if you're gonna tell your opinion, spell right at least. But they say, oh, she was mentally ill, she was, you know, catatonic and epileptic and anorexic and go on, and I get all that. But if we've in our stuff we do, we talk to doctors, psychiatrists, we have that division, we have that concept in our research. Now it's a catch 22, because when you're so sick, whether it's physical or mentally, you're open to and you're acceptable to evil. You're acceptable to these forces. You know that.
Right.
And then when you're not, you are. So it's like her being sick could have been an invitation. But the one thing is for sure, there's things that you can't write off, like her voice. It's, you know, the people try to say, well, hey, throat singing, you know, like, you know, the rock
That's
band,
not
you
throat
really-
singing.
you know, you can actually have two voices. You can do that. But she had more than two. She was like, you know, she was sounding like a dog. At the same time, she was talking low, and there was other voices all coming at the same time. This is almost impossible to disregard as total mental illness. But I also believe the intention, you know, when you only 10% people that are only out of 100% people say they're possessed, only 10% really possibly are. The rest are mentally
Mental illness.
stable. But if you
unfortunately.
go to exercise someone that isn't possessed, but they are unstable thinking they're possessed, the exorcism is still going to work. Because they believe they're saved. You know?
Have a vehicle to go into another shameless plug, The Possessed, which is on Amazon Prime and Tubi and doing really well. We have so many movies out for Halloween right now. We are so excited.
You've got a huge catalog.
It's
I
great.
know, but some of these titles.
That's what she said.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm saying some of these titles, sincerely, you know, did really well for us in the Sci-Fi Channel or DVD or Redbox or the other outlets so foreign. But to see them now open up a whole new market, you know, younger market that's out there with the streaming age.
It's
you
really
know,
interesting because, yeah, you're right. And we started at 2004 with
Death Tunnel.
at Wayville
And
Sanatorium. That
Yeah.
it was really haunted, so we brought in a film crew to film us filming a horror movie that became Spooked, The Ghosts of Wayville Sanatorium. Sci-Fi launched that, and then it was Children of the Grave, which is very sad but very haunting documentary.
And that's just out now on Apple. And
Yeah, I just watched that the other day. Now, where was that? What asylum was that at, or what? You know?
well, that was federal. That was at quite a few. That was through Indiana and Illinois.
Oh, okay.
And there was an old
And
place.
shot at Pythian Castle.
There was
in-
the Bowen Building, which they took in Peoria, Illinois,
Yeah.
which they tore down.
Mhm.
But those in that show, since you just watched it, I can't tell you how chilling it is because I was just cutting put it back on a trailer for the streaming because it just was added to Apple TV. Is in the trailer where it says, "How many grades are we standing on?" and she says 699. Those grades that we're walking over, those unmarked grades, are absolutely 100% real. We, as far as the eye can see, they're these old stone lime, covered in lime in the trailer and in the show, grades of unmarked grades of children. And they all died from formaldehyde poisoning because they used it as a food preservative back then. They thought that in the bread and the porridge and the milk, it would preserve it. They ended up killing a lot of them. So what they did is they buried them in unmarked graves.
In a mass grave.
And our mission there was to try to get some kind of names back for the actual.
To get closure by getting their names back.
Right.
Well, I can't tell you the state was not very helpful. They were not very happy. We were doing a documentary about the atrocity that happened. And they did pull legal stuff on us. And of course, they weren't able to.
We also got sued for doing The Exorcist. We tried to get sued for The Exorcist file.
Yeah, they put a TRO the night we played it in a film.
Because we went and filmed this place and said it was an asylum. And they said, how dare you say that? because it's now an apartment building. And
But
I'm going, dude, on the side of the building, it says asylum.
When you drive
Yeah.
into St. Vincent's Island, 1849,
You know,
or 18,
You know,
well, I think 18.
but what they really wanted to do is they knew we had the diary and they felt
Yeah.
it was their diary.
And it was valuable,
So
and
they
they
wanted
wanted.
monetary
you know.
gain.
But in Children of the Grave, yeah, we really tried to get that, and the cities, the records couldn't find the records, and we made but we did bring a lot of exposure to that with the monument now.
And the
stamped
shadow
in-
people, right? And the shadow
Indianapolis.
children at the end. That is truly phenomenal. I think
Zombie Rose.
Zombie Road is probably one of the best evidences ever caught in paranormal.
Really?
Because you're not just after one shadow figure, you're after all these children's shadows that were standing on a bluff, and there's no way humans could really get to it, and especially small children. And so we went down to investigate because they said that the picture of all these shadow children were not there when we took it. The photos looked very really checked out, real. You know, we blew them up to see if any Photoshop lines and all that.
Yeah.
It's pretty real. We'll go down and check it out. And we couldn't really find it, but there was all these like short figures with oblong heads in between these shadows. This picture was, and we went down there. We caught a few shadow people, which was pretty creepy. Couldn't find it till the very end when we put the thermal images to it, very close to where that bluff was, and there they were, all rocking back and forth. And I have to tell you, after that experience, you just go back into the hotel room and go, "Oh my God." You know, it's real.
And you know what's
and you got to deal with that.
You know what's
now
really
and accept
fascinating
it.
for people that are really into because I don't consider, we are technicians in post production, and we are certainly technically somewhat inclined in the paranormal field. But the truth of it is, you take a thermal imager, and there's all
Mhm.
those children. You pull it down, and there's nothing there. You walk over there with flashlights, you see nothing. You pull it right back up, and they're standing right there, and it's impossible. There's nothing that could make
You got
figures of
tree,
bodies. Nothing.
space, tree, no shadows, and then in between it, there's these
Head and shoulders,
almost
like
Unreal.
almost alien-like.
Yeah, like
which,
grays.
By the way, I always thought
silhouettes of grays.
I
or
always thought
something.
that's a lot of these shadow people were laughing at us, saying they think we're ghosts, and they're
Yeah.
extraterrestrial.
So if you, from a
There's
technical
theories of
point
that.
of view, if you're seeing these with thermal and you pull it down, and we sent it to Bill Chappell, who's
And the head of
Digital
all the
dowsing
thermal
and the
imagery.
thermal, and ask them, hey, you made this gear, you tell us what it is. I've
Right.
never seen anything like that before. I can't explain it, And then, but the thing is, a thermal imager, I keep saying that word. Well, that picks up heat. It doesn't pick up light. Shadow is night vision. It's light based. So if
Mhm.
we're picking it up on a thermal, which is white is hot and black is cold, they use it to find bodies in, your thermal imager.
The most touching thing I do.
That means these shadow figures are really cold
Yes.
and against the
Well, and also,
temperature. So
why
they're not
not
shadows,
shadow figures? That I mean, even Jason, and the Ghost Hunts when they first did, I think Waverly, they saying, look at all these, midget or these short. I don't know if you can say midget anymore. I'll be canceled. Or
I think it's vertically
small
challenged.
people. I can't even say that probably.
I'm officially a little person, so you can say it. Yeah.
Can I say that? Okay, little person. But
You
why do
can't see it, but she's standing on a big box. Right.
Okay.
To get to the mirror.
Okay, you're standing on our big catalog.
Yeah, right.
I was going to say though, everybody says they're children, but I'm really tell you, the EVPs we got back from that sounded electronic and almost alien.
Wow.
Wow.
So I have a theory, and it's just my point of view that a lot of these shadow things could be extraterrestrial. They hide in
That's
the shadows
interesting.
and they watch us until they learn it.
I'm going to corner you at the next convention that I'm at, and we're going to discuss that particular theory right there.
Well, I think it's a very good theory because I think it's, I don't believe in aliens, but I believe in ghosts. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Right then.
Yeah, right. You got to have an open mind and everything. But
And I feel like these aliens could be part of, you want to talk about getting, if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, you've got the Sasquatch and all these other things. I mean, who knows, right? If there's coming in
Well,
and out or whatever.
when we did Soul Catcher, which was another great show, which will be coming out next year, because we have so many shows out now, we need to take a break. But Soul
Yeah, let
Catcher,
people take a break.
yeah, let people. But so when we shot Soul Catcher, we're the only paranormal investigation documentary that would allow them to be on the actual reservation. They wouldn't have let the popular TV shows because they thought they would exploit it. They said we know the Booth brothers would treat the elders and the things
Yeah.
with
We let
dignity.
the Native Americans tell the story, and we shut up. And
So
let them
we,
tell the
yeah,
story.
we were able to
Yes.
have interviews with the elders and it was amazing. But when you mentioned Sasquatch, the reason why I brought that up is we were in the Native American boarding schools where they did so terrific things to the children there and robbed them of their identities. These places are strung across Oklahoma, along the Trail of Tears. And that we thought that would be a really interesting documentary, paranormal, to go into those places. But they radioed us, the Anita Tauble, the ghost hunting, Native American Ghost Hunting Society is, and said, you got to come out right now. There's something out here. They got it right now. We walked out there, and sure enough, on that.
Well, the Native Americans were running out giving tobacco to what we couldn't see.
Mhm.
When we put our thermal imager up, there was like a 20-foot
Yeah,
shadow.
like it was huge. And the person was this
bent,
big.
and we had seen on documentaries, look at, you see the thing bend over to pick up the tobacco. It's weird. It just
Wow.
bends over like this and then stands up like
So are
a,
you
a
talking
shadow warrior, basically.
maybe like elemental spirits, those kind of
Like a
things.
Wendigo, perhaps?
Yeah.
Well, there were Wendigos,
shapeshifters?
not necessarily Wendigos, but there were Wendigos and shapeshifters, and there was even a possession that happened there because when we were filming, a very small boy, the schools were boarded up and had tons of 2x4s, and there's no way you could kick.
That
it
was
over.
really
This
scary.
boy just kicked through it, and he was hiding.
He
in
didn't
the
know we
gym.
were filming this.
And me, I'm going like, I'm coming in with a camera because I'm trying to capture it. He turns to me and goes, "Don't film me." And I go, he didn't even know I had
and he
a
was
camera.
scratching his nails on an old
That was
school desk.
scary.
And then none of this was like,
That was scary.
he had no idea it was there, hiding in the old boarding school. And they started to do a Native American exorcism on him right there with sage and everything. And yeah, we've seen some stuff. I mean, it's like,
Yeah, that's probably one of the reasons we let go of the Exorcist Diary, and that we felt everything we could say about it and do is the chapter's closed. And again,
Yeah.
for anything you do in life, you must let go because
You have to make room for the new.
Otherwise, you're not going to get anything there.
I know. I mean, I don't know if it's a general public, but I'm very, I'll say the word politely, entertained by the new shows, the paranormal shows that are on, especially that's on Max and these ones that are all cookie cutters that all seem like they're the same people with this different interviews. One show is all like, but what cracks me up is when they go to do the actual evidence part of it all, it's more than nothing now than, did you hear that? And that's what the evidence.
We've been really lucky. I mean, I don't know why. Maybe we're blessed to try to tell the stories or been invited to tell the stories, but we've been really blessed to get, and we don't even necessarily try. We just go in there I think, very empathic about it. And we're there like Waverly Hill Sanatorium. We're there. It's full of people waiting for a cure of tuberculosis in Waverly Hill Sanatorium. So if you go there, everybody's trying to catch a ghost, right? If you actually go there and say, and you can leave now, they found a cure. That's it. That's all you need. And they're going to help to move on because they're waiting for a cure.
Yeah.
And no one touches it that, I mean, not ever. There are some people that care, I do understand. But I think that we've been really blessed to be able to tell beautiful stories about beautiful people that didn't get a chance to tell their own story.
I think that we have a different approach to it with what we do. It's more epic, more.
Yeah, we do Pink Floyd albums,
Yeah,
not Donny Osmond albums.
Where everything seems so commercial and
yeah,
and
corny. Yeah,
they have to do it in with commercials in mind, and it's scripted. I mean, Chris and I, a lot of people don't know this, we were asked to do the Cecil Hotel, which is a really great story about Eliza Lamb.
Yes.
Well, we were asked to do a pilot for a show that would be like on one of the networks. But we got to investigate the place, and it was really scary and cool. But we passed on doing the show because we did.
First of all, we're not paranormal detectives. We don't look like detectives. And we wanted us to be us, which are filmmakers, and do what we do. And then he said, well, you're going to go and you're going to break into that trailer and steal some evidence. I'm going, I wouldn't do that, though. I'm not going to break in a trailer. You're going to film that?
Everything, guys, everything was scripted. This is a true story. Everything, and it was just ridiculously over the top. And then they had Chris and I interrogate a prisoner that was supposed to be, it was a true crime paranormal thing.
You're going to talk. You're going to tell us.
Chris and I are going to a prison, and it was a set and everything. We're talking to an actor who's supposed to be this, and a sheriff who's an actor who's supposed to be the real sheriff. And we just, at the point, we said, we can't do this. Our reputation will be destroyed.
But I tell you, when we were at the Cecil Hotel, which was a pilot, so we did not get necessarily all the permission to film, so we weren't going to keep the footage, but we had to do the pilot, so we just went down there with hidden cameras. So I had them all over me, and I walked in to the. We might release some of this. We went into the lobby, just like the American Horror Story, that one they did on Hotel. I wish they shot some of it. We went in there, and I went up to said, "So, you had anybody exciting? Any celebrities staying here?" I mean, and she goes, "Well, we had Richard Ramirez." And go, "Okay," and it starts like that, and we go up to the elevator, the infamous elevator that Eliza Lamb had her freak out in, and we stay in her room.
Yeah, we got to stay in a room.
Really?
Had no toilet in it.
The toilet
actually did have a toilet. It had a toilet in the middle of the shower, so
they don't have a separate room.
You can poop and have a shower at the same time.
I'll pass.
Yeah, it's really quite interesting how that would work. But
save water.
First thing I had to do was drink the water out of the tap. If you know the story. Black body decomposition, because they found her in the water tank for 3 weeks, I think it was. Anyway, so we went in there and we're walking around, talking about like a David Lynch movie. The people that were there were so weird.
Because it's like a hostel in a way that they only had one bathroom on each floor. Then the richer people got a bathroom. So
a lot of prostitutes walking around.
In the hairnets with a fucking scrub suplexes.
And they all dropped out the window, right? Committed suicide. 11 people did.
Yeah.
And they still to this day don't have bars on the window.
They have all surveillance monitors on the floors, but they're pointing towards the windows.
Gentlemen.
Suicide.
So when we got to the top floor, because the water tank's above us, we did an EVP session, and then we started hearing a banging, like a sound of a water tank. Someone banging in a water tank.
Wow.
And it's really freaky. And I almost pushed that because they put an alarm there now because you can't get out to the roof. So when we got back, the EVPs actually.
Chris, I'm gonna have to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Our producer is telling us we've only got a few seconds.
We've only got 30 seconds left of this show. It is like the fastest 54 minutes I've ever seen. I wish we had another hour to chat with you because the whole Cecil Hotel. We'll do it again. I'd love to have you back on. Thank you for being here. This has just flown by. Thank you so much, gentlemen. It's been an absolute pleasure. Stay on so we can thank you properly.
Happy Halloween.
Ladies and gentlemen, see you next week right here on the show. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Paranormal Project Radio Show with Scott Allan and Christina Bowen. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. While you're there, leave us a rating and review. We'll be back next week with more exciting guests. Now go out there and explore the paranormal.